And welcome to ohmTown Daily, Season 2, Episode 251 for September 8th, 2023. Tonight we're going to be discussing how the AI fake Drake and Weeknd is not eligible for a Grammy, Paqui pulls the one-chip challenge, the mystery Valve gadget, slashing carbon emissions, the site formerly known as Twitter is unfit for banking, only up goes down, from 1 to 5 in 24 hours, caffeinated gamer ramen, 1,000-year-old mummy on top of a pyramid, BMW customers not so hot for subscription heating, emergencies are expensive, and cryptic alien messages. Hello, I am Merwat, that is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI that's going to come barging in here at any given moment to just introduce themselves and say hello.
Hello, good evening, ohmTown citizens.
See, I called it. It's almost like I know how I'm supposed to do the intro, but I didn't. So I was going to commiserate about the day today. Stormy weather, people kind of slowly meandering across the street, people driving like maniacs outside of ohmTown, because sometimes I have to materialize out of ohmTown, which is just an online in the wires kind of community. We're just a bunch of electrons. The program, right? We're part of a simulation. But sometimes Merwat has to go out into the real world. And I had people try and kill me with their car. I had one person run across 4 lanes of traffic with a backpack and zero care about 2-ton vehicles driving towards them. Watch that one from afar. Somebody ran a red light, fully red light, and if they would have hesitated a little bit longer, they would have been T-boned at an intersection. This is why it's safe. You are home in ohmTown.com. Just start ordering stuff to be delivered to your door and hang out. I would love to spend more time just streaming, talking about the news. So come and hang out. Every day, 9 p.m. Eastern, here in ohmTown. Twitch.tv/ohmTown. It's also a podcast. It's also a YouTube channel. Go and check it out. Like it. All of that kind of stuff. All that in mind, got a lot to go over. 12 whole articles. I'm going to charge into this. Come in like a Miley Cyrus wrecking ball.
Okay.
That's right. I'm barely dressed. And I'll be swinging from that side over there through to the other side. Wouldn't y'all be really surprised if I actually did that, though? Right? In some of the channels that I always hang out in, I always tease people that whenever I'm watching,
I think the AI would be surprised, too.
I wear nothing but a gold thong. I don't for the stream, just so you know. Those who are listening to this via the podcast, don't be afraid to go and watch the videos. All right, let's go. First article is over in Technology Today. AI generated fake Drake and The Weeknd. That track is not eligible for a Grammy. Recording Academy CEO Harvey Mason Jr. had me at the beginning there. Thought this was going to be a completely different article. Is setting the record straight after Variety reported earlier this week that the AI-generated track echoing the voices of Drake and The Weeknd would be considered for a Grammy Award. I don't know how anybody would have possibly thought that it could have possibly, even remotely, been up for a Grammy, but anyway, Mason is insisting that is not the case. The track, Heart on My Sleeve, was created and submitted for consideration by someone using the pseudonym Ghostwriter. The song features lyrics written by Ghostwriter, but imitates the voices of the rappers without consent. I can imagine even with consent, the Academy would have a problem.
Right, it'd still have the same problem. Yeah.
It's not created by a human. might be trained by human voices, but it's not a human. And what's really interesting about this, though, is now we can, except for the fact that you have copy degradation or the AI equivalent of it, you can make fake voices. Like it's really, really easy. Like really, really easy. You want to know how easy?
Sure.
It's this easy. So all I have to do is
What
mash a couple
for Mayor
buttons.
Watt?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Mayor Watt Benjamin Button.
But all you have to do is hit a few buttons. And this was impromptu, so I could have done this a whole lot smoother. But I can synthesize any voice and make an AI voice. I don't necessarily need permission. Just because these voices sound like Drake and the Weeknd, they're not Drake and the Weeknd. They just sound like Drake and the Weeknd. You know what else sounds like Drake and the Weeknd? Probably a couple
Maybe Drake and the
100,000 other
Weeknd?
people. Huh?
I
What?
said Drake and the Weeknd.
Yeah, but there's probably 100,000 other people that sound really damn close to Drake and the Weeknd. Just like there's somebody else out there that sounds like you and me and everybody else. Our voices aren't so unique that they can't come eerily close. The voice as a unique identifier can be, it isn't like a fingerprint, which is much harder to clone. It isn't as easy to modify or get close to an iris scan. But a voice is just a series of phonemes. I can synthesize that. And all you have to do, and here, I'm not trying to toot my own horn when I say this. I had a great singing voice, but I ended up damaging my vocal cords. And so my voice is not my original voice as it is today, prior to an incident in my past. So I hurt my throat. And now I sound different, but I sound like somebody else out there. There are other people that sound just like this. So making something, if Ghostwriter hadn't labeled it directly to Drake or the Weeknd, could have called it not Drake and not the Weeknd. And if that is the argument, that it was used without their permission, guess what? It's not Drake and not the Weeknd. It's somebody that sounds really close to them. You know, the Gorillaz. You don't know who the artists are if it wasn't for the fact that they disclose them sometimes. It's found out somehow that the Gorillaz uses, because I don't know if everybody knows this. They should have by now. I was working on a project that was similar to the Gorillaz, had no idea that the Gorillaz was coming into existence, and I was trying to create music that was from musicians, but nobody knew who the musicians were, and it was bound within like an overarching umbrella. AKA, it
Every
would
time
be
somebody says umbrella, I think of Rihanna.
Ella. Hey. And whenever somebody says something like that, I say all your stuff is in a box to the left, which is somebody else. But anyway, so I'm not too hip to this. I love the idea of content generated by AI, as long as it doesn't lay claim to being from somebody else, and that it is very forward in announcing that it's generated by AI. You know, I would love to have an art program, an art contest that's bound entirely by AI generated art, music generated by AI musicians, etc. Well, there's a lot of people that really don't appreciate that idea, but I think that it's a tool, just like various types of recording devices, synthesizers, keyboards, you know, different kinds of guitars. All kinds of stuff exists to amplify the capabilities of an artist. But who is to say that an artist is the one that has to sing directly? Yeah, not me. I think I should be able to use the tools. So, and it's up to me as the artist using those tools to create something that I think is worthy of praise and is considered art, and not the industry per se. You know, there's a lot of what I would music and art and music as art and art as art and everything as art is in the eye of the beholder. But we don't like that phrase when it comes to AI. So, at any rate, I'm going to let me just talk about this article a little bit more then. So it says, however, it seems things have changed in recent Instagram post. First spotted by Deadline, Mason offered some clarity. The CEO made it clear that the song is not eligible for Grammy consideration. Quote, let me be extra clear. Even though it was written by a human creator, the vocals were not legally obtained. The vocals were not cleared by the label or the artist, and the song is not commercially available, and because of that, it's not eligible. Again, phonemes are not something that can be protected, particularly if they're completely generated by an AI. This creator made the fatal mistake of saying that it was The Weeknd and Drake. If they would have just labeled it their own.
If they just said it was whatever, then it would have been fine.
Yep. Hello, Possum. How are you? Let's see here. Music competition bound to music generated by AI. In that case, are the AIs the artists or the instruments? AI is always the instrument. AI cannot do anything without its creator giving it an instruction to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it might be. Even if it is continuously creating content randomly based on whatever its design was, it was created and its instant was run by a human. It is a tool and nothing more than that. It isn't a creator. It isn't a maker. It has no bearing on its output because it was framed entirely by a human programming it.
But remember, somebody created something where they call it the creative machine. I mean, I think people are angling for it to be a creator.
But it's a creator in label, but not the fact that
Right.
A hammer is not the builder of a house. The wielder of the hammer is, and thus it is a tool and cannot be called, by extension, the hammer is the creator of every structure that's ever been created with a nail. So, but no, that's not how it is. The artist, the artisan that made the house, that's the one that created it. That's the one that should get credit for it. But it has to be abundantly clear that X, Y, and Z, whatever it might be, was created by AI in partnership with a human being. So, yeah. I don't like the idea of this. It should have been pretty much nixed right in the bud. You cannot create something that is Drake or The Weeknd because it isn't from directly Drake or The Weeknd. It wasn't endorsed by them. Saying that it is them is fraud. You're literally stealing the goodwill of Drake and The Weeknd and the millions or hundreds of millions of dollars of marketing and production that has gone under their name. So I have a real problem with AI generated stuff that says that it is X, Y, and Z. Make it your own. Embrace the tool, but make it your own. The only reason why anybody cares about it is because they said that it is Drake and the Weeknd, a fake Drake and fake Weeknd. If this person created it and it was brilliant and never named the artist and said that it was AI, people may still love it and may still say, wow, this sounds really a lot like Drake and the Weeknd. And that the ghostwriter would have to sit there and say, it is not Drake or the Weeknd. I didn't intend it to be Drake or the Weeknd. It just sounds eerily similar to Drake and the Weeknd. But I am telling you vociferously, it is not. So the article's over at Gadget by Stephanie Barnes. And that's really what this whole article is. It's talking about the fact that Mason from the Academy says that this AI track is not going to be available for a Grammy. And I have zero problem with that. Everybody shouldn't have a problem with it. What everybody should be having a problem, and this is where I do kind of step in, lean into the idea that this is how everybody should be thinking about this, because I'm actually promoting a mindset about AI. Treat it as a tool. When it's being used for fraudulent purposes, call it out and make sure that the world knows that this is a fraudulent piece of work that's angling to try and steal clout from the artist that it sounds like or looks like. But it's only because they labeled it as that. They labeled it as Drake and the Weeknd. And it also brings me to the point that I said earlier, just because you sound like Drake and the Weeknd, you could be a wonderful artist, but you're in obscurity because the right recipe for discovery wasn't made, right? And that's where this AI track would have ended up, in obscurity. But because they threw it
Right,
under
they hyped it up, right?
They hyped it as Drake and the
This is
Weeknd.
the Weeknd.
Yep. In fact, they didn't disclose that it was AI until people started saying, this is Drake and the Weeknd's new track. Oh, look at the fine print. It says that it was AI. Yeah, there's so many absolutely stunningly talented people out there that are in obscurity that didn't quite latch on to the right opportunity, right? Their kid was sick that day, so they weren't at the mall. I know, mall, I'm dating myself. They weren't on TikTok. They weren't on Twitch. They weren't doing their OnlyFans. Anyway. Got it. So let's go on. We've got a whole bunch of articles still ahead of us. And Possum, welcome again. So this next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Paqui pulls the one chip challenge from shelves. Paqui is the Austin, Texas-based chip company famous for its viral one chip challenge product. It says it's working on it with retailers to pull the tortilla chip from shelves. I see it. I've never done it. I didn't look into why this is happening. Mason Lieb over at abcnews.go.com from Good Morning America wrote this article, and it says the decision to remove the chip comes after a 14-year-old died in Massachusetts on September 1st, which his family believes is related to the Paqui one chip challenge. I did not know that was coming. Let's see. Sensitive to spicy foods or who have food allergies, is pregnant, or has underlying conditions shouldn't be doing the chip challenge. So apparently there might have been something that directly because of the chip led to this person's demise. It's under investigation. I guess we'll end up talking about it briefly as this comes to fruition. Whatever the outcome is, we'll end up talking about it. But yeah, unfortunately, if you don't know what your limits are, I wouldn't challenge them at from like 0 to 60. This seems like it was, I dare you to eat the hottest damn chip that you can find. And
Right. And we don't know how many were eaten, and there could have been an allergy too. It may not have just been the spiciness.
Yeah, I don't think it says, that they had an allergy, but
Well, they may not know yet.
yeah, there are people out there that are allergic to a synthetic red that could come from materials that might be in this. And unless it says, it breaks it out that there is an artificial red color or one derived from said artificial red color. It could be as simple as that, or there was something else in this that led to their death. It sucks.
Well, and I don't, you know, I think there's a problem where we have these things like a food challenge or all of these challenges. Like some of them are well intentioned, they raise money for charity,
Ice
not
bucket.
this one specifically, right?
Yeah.
That one was probably not real harmful, but a lot of them are, and people do them without really realizing the consequences, like kids or teenagers.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, because children are across the board naturally the wisest of our species, right? Um, so
In some ways, but not generally.
we'll have to wait and see if Paqui even comes close to recovering from this, because it's this one incident could be the worst possible outcome for them. I don't think that people should be taking this on lightly.
Well, this also raises another question. I mean, as to how the stores probably, there aren't any restrictions, but a product like this, even if it's only marketed to adults, a kid might have gone into a store and bought this, which, I mean, this sounds kind of ridiculous, but it almost seems like it should be regulated like cigarettes or something.
Yeah, I
I'm
would hate
getting
to
a little over the board, but yeah.
I would hate to set a precedent like that for things that are spicy. I mean, there are some stores that are locking up stuff behind secure cabinetry because there are bad actors out there. This could have been an innocuous purchase, but you know, it it's literally a chip inside a coffin. Um,
Right, but part of the problem is I think that would have even more appeal because it probably
sure,
looks cool,
yeah,
but it's to an adult, it's probably fairly well advertised that, hey, this is not going to be a light experience.
right, yeah. Unfortunately, this is something that's born from I don't know, the idea that you're an unstoppable force and something as simple as a food allergy could end you. So, unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. So, we'll follow up if need be. Let's keep going. Next article's over in the ohmTown Daily channel. Valve's next mystery gadget may be imminent. I'm hoping that it is what is being suggested here. We know for a fact that Valve's hardware ambitions didn't end with the Steam Deck. Over the past 2 years, Valve has suggested it would like to see a standalone VR headset, a new Steam controller, and a Steam Deck revision with better battery life and screen, and maybe moving the damn port and the cable to a place that actually makes sense for usability. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, just
That's been on a
look.
previous episode, I think.
Yeah, a few, and then I just got burned out with, crying into my hands that how in the world did an industrial designer do that? Maybe they'll have it on the link. So Valve may actually be getting ready to ship at least one of its hardware ideas, a low-power wireless device from Valve with the designation RC-V1V1030. So let's go over to the source. Oh, before I do that, I am determined to keep posting the links to ohmTown. Anyway, Sean Hollister is the author. The deck statement is what I said. RC V1V1030 just passed radio certification in South Korea. They have a picture of the Steam Deck, but I'm hoping that it's not a Steam Deck. I'm hoping that and I'm not quite sure what they mean by it says low power. I need to know more. See, I have had several VR headsets over the years. dating all the way back when it was little mini CRTs and an umbilical bolted to a cable onto the ceiling. And now we're at the point where we just have what amounts to a little bit thicker glasses if you look at the Beyond big screen. And I have the Pico 4s sitting over here that keep looking at me saying, you need to play more VR. But what I really want is a wireless, cable-free index. So I'm hoping that's what it is. But I don't know. It says here, South Korea certification tells us basically nothing about the device, save that it uses 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which most computers already have at this point. It could be pretty much anything. I mean, watches, tablets, cell phones, obviously, even the Pico 4 and other VR headsets. So this could literally be anything. And knowing that this is so nebulous, I should have just shied away from it because I don't really like talking about rumor this much. But one of the article's paragraph says, while Laravel initially suggests that it might be a Steam Deck refresh reference board, Valve's Greg Coomer told the author in 2021 that Steam Deck's existing APU might make sense for a standalone VR headset. A new Steam controller gamepad wouldn't have an entire Steam Deck chip inside, though, so that seems less likely. I don't know about that. They could be working on something that is tertiary for the controller, but the VR headset is using this radio. So a standalone VR headset codenamed Deckard was at least being prototyped inside Valve, sources confirmed to YouTuber Brad Lynch and Ars Technica back in 2021. And there's been some patent images made last June. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
What do you think it's going to be?
I would love for Valve to step back into the ring with a cable-free, an umbilical-free VR headset that rivals the resolution and capabilities of the wired technologies. Like there's a thing called Big Screen Beyond, which is a custom-made VR headset interface is the primary thing. So you actually measure the topography of your face, your eyes. You send that in and they make a custom mold that fits perfectly to you. So it removes the bulkiness in exchange for this custom made interface. So it blocks out all the light. It forms perfectly on you, so it doesn't need this big gasket. So you don't need the bulk, except for all of the little electronics. But we know that micronization in electronics continues. You know, we're on the verge of like quantum entanglement between the runs of electrons down circuit boards. You know, they're getting so close that it's starting to mess with each other. So the traces are getting so thin, so small that maybe something could be so small that it's basically my glasses. You put them on, fits perfectly, you're operational. I love the idea of that. I don't know if this is it. Plus, now's the time when everything is really, really expensive. So I have a hard time believing that they're going to drop out a $1,000 VR headset in this day and age. This thing's going to land, $1,500 minimum.
But at least it won't be $3,500.
Yeah, well, the
And
Apple.
hopefully it won't look like swim goggles.
Every time I put them on, I feel like I need to go swimming. I'm not sure what's going on here, but apparently they're not waterproof. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll keep you informed. Mayor Watt's really into tech, so obviously I'll be talking about this stuff. And I would love to spend more time playing some VR games and stuff like that, but I can't during the normal business operations around ohmTown. I have so many people demanding my attention in ohmTown that I have to be mayor. That's what I am. So FaceTime matters. Okay, folks. So let's keep on going. We've got a whole bunch more articles. Come on. So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Something got munched up in this. I'll fix this after the show. The popular clothing brand Everlane slashed its carbon emissions by 22% with the help of a high-tech startup. Companies all over the world are racing to do the same. This article is over at Business Insider by Erica Carnavali. There we go, Carnavali. Cool name. Anyway, startups such as Watershed and Carbon Analytics create tech platforms that collect emissions data. Businesses can then gauge their carbon footprint and find ways to reduce it. The article was originally part of Build It, a series, or Build IT, a series about digital tech and innovation trends that are disrupting industries. In 2021,
intentionally nebulous about the IT and the it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a startup kind of cutting edge. What was the phrase that they use? Disrupting industries. Yeah, that's kind of the startup community mantra. Disrupt. So when leadership at the retailer Everlane wanted to make the company more eco-conscious, they set their sights on a tech-driven solution. In 2021, the clothing brand teamed up with carbon accounting startup Watershed to track carbon emissions, mostly from Everlane's supply chain, using data collection. The partnership has helped Everlane minimize their air freight and transition some of its production from raw materials to recycled alternatives, including cashmere. The company has also reduced its product emissions by 22%, notable progress towards its goal of curtailing 55% of its product emissions by 2030. Not bad. But you don't know what you don't know. And so getting that telemetry is pretty fundamental to any business operations successful outcome. If they have a return on their investment and the return is 55% reduction, then you have to know where you actually stand. So I'm not surprised that there's somebody that fills this niche. There's LEED certifications for efforts by organizations that have, retail and capital improvement efforts underway, development. So you can do LEED certification, and organizations like Everlane use Watershed. But LEED certification helps you green your entire business and all of your subsidiaries, the actual operations. The supply chain side of things is a little bit harder to pen in by certifications like LEED because that's not bound by that. But once you know where everything is, now you have to look for options about how do I get out of these that are not eco-friendly and go find something that is. There is probably, I wonder if they actually talk about this. It says you're not just eliminating global averages or on some type of monetary spend data that in the end may not be representative of your true impacts. It's pretty much what I said. But what's interesting about this is you're going to get, as a leader in your business, a lot of downward pressure to stay with somebody, because when you tell your supplier, hey, we're going to leave to find a more eco-friendly solution, the offsetting factor is going to be the profit margin that supplier has. So if they have enough room to keep you but lower the price, you're going to be really you're going to have an ethical issue here. Like, do I want to increase my margin so that I can pay more to my employees or save my business or whatever, extend my runway, all kinds of stuff? Or do I truly want to stick to my guns and save the ecosystem?
Well, and isn't that, I mean, one of the continuing struggles? Like, there's things that companies or people running the companies may want to do, but then obviously everything comes at a cost.
Yep. Hello, Crazy Cat Lady. Welcome to the show. Yeah, and that's really it. Um, Maria Fujihara, the founder and CEO of the carbonization software provider Sinai Technologies, which I've heard of. I'm trying to remember when I first heard of this company. I might be mixing it with another company, but anyway, said companies are keen to understand the cost of their sustainability goals. The startup works with high pollution sectors such as mining, agriculture, and manufacturing, helping them calculate internal carbon pricing by connecting companies' cost, spending, and savings with their decarbonization scenarios and recommending mitigation measures. It's usually that must be why, because they're tied to Bayer and Siemens. So like I said at the beginning of this, first you have to know where you are, and most companies have no idea what their carbon footprint is, just zero. Um, Let alone that there's something that even their capital situation right now, as in their their building that they're working in, what that carbon footprint is. It's usually, at least in the startup world, the least of the concerns unless they start out of the gate as being an eco-friendly enterprise. Most people are just trying to survive. Um, so, very interesting article, at least to me. Investment by venture capital firms in carbon accounting startups surged from 60 million in 2020 to 767 million in 2022. So, a 10 times increase in just 2 years, according to PitchBook.
I mean,
The
that's
trend has,
pretty exciting times, right?
yep. And it's interesting because these are expensive times. So I wonder what is going to happen with this. It says here that the trend hasn't slowed down and 330 million has been invested so far this year, but we're 9 months into the year and we're at less than half of the 767, and prices are increasing. Supply side prices are increasing. So we'll see if it keeps on going. There's still a lot of money, and a lot of people are being made very wealthy. So it's all of the other people that have to work for a living that are not. So we'll see. We'll keep talking about this kind of stuff. And again, if you are interested in this, follow the link. Crazy Cat Lady says, good evening. And just got home from another successful fair. Another 19 ribbons. Wow.
Wow.
Just a juggernaut. Arts and crafts 6 second, 1 third, and entered 6 rabbits, and all 6 won first place, one being best pet. That is amazing. Oh my God. Well, good on
I
you.
know.
I don't know what you're doing with these bunnies, but I guess the genetics are real. They're all the best. And I think that's a awesome title, Best Pet.
I do too.
Okay, let's keep on going. We got a bunch more articles. I feel like I'm actually kind of soapboxing a lot. So this next article is over in the Word and Law. This one will actually be pretty quick, I think. So X has been labeled unfit for banking because of complicity in Saudi spying, lawyers argue. Just 2 weeks after Elon Musk took over Twitter in fall of 2022, he told employees that his big plan was to save the social media platform from bankruptcy by basically turning it into a bank and an all-in-one app. I'm summarizing this snippet. But it says, now as X continues filing for money transmitting licenses in pursuit of turning X into an everything app, a one-stop destination where users bank, shop, communicate, basically everything. There are people that are saying that it's no go. But he's got quite a few, as far as I know. Well, in the grand scheme of things, you would have to get all 50 states to allow you to do, well, not all 50 states have to allow you to do banking for you to start doing banking. You just can't accept it in some states. So he's got something like 10 out of 50.
I mean, that's not a very high ratio.
Well, what's really interesting about this is that I don't know how fast this process normally happens. It used to not exist. Let me just say that. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, are they not buying into the fact that he was tied to PayPal? Does that really just not have enough gravitas that his
Well, we
name
don't
tied?
know. That could be you mean the states or you mean,
Yeah, the states.
oh, I thought you meant as related to this argument because I was going to say there could be other objections, but
But he's
I
only
mean, do the
got,
states necessarily care if they have a pro private business stance?
yeah, that's what I don't know what is actually happening. It says, now as X continues filing for money transmitting licenses in pursuit of turning X into an everything app, one-stop destination where they do all of everything. It's similar to WhatsApp in China. In an open letter reviewed by ours, lawyers at Walden, Mocht, and Heron LLP, who are representing a Saudi family suing Twitter/X, warned both attorneys general and banking commissioners across 50 states that Musk's company should be considered unfit to hold banking licenses. They allege that X is unfit for banking due to its alleged treatment of users' personal data and intentional complicity in human rights violations. These grievances, The Guardian reported, also call into question whether X can be trusted to abide by federal and state laws protecting consumer data and records. I would lean into the no category.
I'm going to go out on a limb based on what we've seen publicly stated.
Yeah, because there was a lot of talk that basically the Saudi Arabian government requested information from Twitter/X post, like when Musk had taken
When
it
the
over.
journalist was killed.
Well, incidents, plural, occurred. So, and I'm not sure what the full scope is off the top of my head. It's been a little while. That particular lawsuit against Twitter was initially filed in May, alleging that the former Twitter employees who were charged in 2019 with conspiring with the Saudi regime to silence more than 6,000 dissidents violated Twitter's terms of service by unmasking anonymous Twitter accounts. This is why you now have to, if you want a verified account, the only way to do it is actually to link your banking information to it by buying um, the authentication. You cannot, if you want to be a verified user, you have to strip away your anonymity. I don't like the idea. I would rather let a regular human being verify me in some way and not have an account tied to. And it's not that I have something to hide. I really don't. But I value my privacy, and I want, if I want to, I want to be able to criticize and not have to worry that there's going to be some government that's so pissed off at me that they're going to try and delete me. And depending on who it is you piss off, that's exactly what happens. And if your account is directly tied to something, there's almost a straight line to you. So no, I will never go back to, as long as he's in control, I will never go back to Twitter slash the site formerly known as Twitter. And it isn't just about the one, that was a reporter, but that isn't the where it stemmed from. That reporter, the one that Khashoggi that everybody talks about, isn't from the Twitter information. But anyway, I think this goes beyond this, but it being unfit, I think, is because it doesn't have a care in the world about individual users' privacy, and its whole effort is to gather up as much power and influence in terms of information about people that it is the equivalent of tracking everything that you do. The
Well, and
creation of
that's part of
American
the
social
problem where
credit.
you have these multiple companies under the same umbrella, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you've talked about this before, but he
yeah,
has transportation and he has communication and now potentially banking and
yeah.
this and that. And all of those, while they're not the same company, they're run by the same person.
And my understanding is that a large portion of the money that was that was used to purchase Twitter was from a Saudi Arabian family um, leadership in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know. I don't like the idea, and but I don't know what anybody's actually going to end up doing about this. It's He's tied to SpaceX, and it, literally taxpayers created this by way of the government providing grants to facilitate turn Elon Musk into a billionaire, untouchable billionaire who can sit there and say whatever he wants to say and nobody can touch him, but he can touch a lot of people. Um, so anyway, let's keep on moving. We'll see what happens if the site formerly known as Twitter becomes a reality after he's bought everything that everybody else has created. So the next article is over in Technology Today. Viral indie game Only Up delisted from Steam, so it is down. The developer of Only Up, a viral indie climbing game that blew up in popularity on Twitch streams, is delisted. This is now for the second time, but this time it's voluntary. The first time it was actually taken offline because of its apparent use of unauthorized assets. This time he's pulling it offline because he wants peace of mind and healing because it's basically been a big pain in the butt. So the article's over at Gadget. I didn't throw this into the chat, so there you go, folks. And so the article is over at Gadget. Will Shanklin is the author. The deck statement is the first time developer needs peace of mind and healing as they plan a future project. So they've pulled it offline, so you can't buy it anymore. If you already own it, then you can continue to play it. But it blew up online, and I'm not sure how many were sold. I don't even know how many are playing it simultaneously. I could look it up, I suppose. But the title's absurdity in terms of its graphics, its difficulty, and then the fact that it used NFT assets kind of led to people loving to hate the game, and then it getting pulled offline, people getting bent out of shape about it. It
By the way, the
was,
peak was over 11,000 concurrent in July,
oh, interesting. I thought it was more than
but
that.
it's down to a lot less than that, obviously. Well, now it's going to be none, but
Well, people will still play it because they still own it, but
oh,
it's
right.
not going to get
Well, it's
purchased
less than 400 as
right
of
now.
the time of a stat I'm looking at.
Yeah. It was the new hotness for a while. So, the article continues to talk about, what the game is, and it says that it cost $10 at the time, I suppose, or it was something else. A 3D artist accused SCKR Games of using Sketchfab asset, a giant statue of a girl that wasn't licensed for commercial use, and the game cost $10. Only Up returned in early June with a statue of Atlas replacing the infringing one. The one person SCKR Games. I don't know if that should be just pronounced sucker. But Games says it'll return with a new project. Quote, I plan to take a pause and continue my education in game design and further with new experience and knowledge to direct my energies to my next game with the working title Kith. So it might be a Mike Tyson game. It will be a new experience and a new concept with realism, a completely different genre and setting, and the emphasis is on cinematography, the developer wrote. So maybe this time stay away from NFT and other assets without paying for them, and that will probably keep you on a better footing. So let's keep on hustling. So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. This one is all about this hurricane that's apparently ramping up pretty quick. I don't know what its status is in the last 24 hours, though. This
I
article
had
is...
just checked it before the show. It's near kind of Dominican Republic area.
Oh, that's lovely. Is it still a Cat 5?
I believe so.
Wow. Well, those warm waters are going to give it a whole lot of power. Maybe it'll stay Cat 5 all the way. We'll see. Hurricane Lee is only one of a handful of hurricanes in the Atlantic Basin during the satellite era to intensify by 85 miles per hour or more within 24 hours. This thing stomped on the gas. Emily Shapiro and Daniel Peck are the authors of this article over at abcnews.go.com. This says here Hurricane Lee is currently a powerful Category 4 hurricane. Apparently earlier it became a Cat 5.
Must have dropped back down.
I'm sure it'll bounce around a little bit. If it's sitting right on the upper edge of that Cat 4 or 5. Yeah. Just wait until it's Cat 6E. Sorry, that's networking. It's a networking joke.
Cabling.
So other notable storms to achieve this hurricane include Hurricane Matthew in 2016 and record Hurricane Wilma in 2005. In just 24 hours, Wilma increased from 75 mile per hour winds to 185. Jeez.
Wow.
That's just ridiculous. So apparently Lee is traveling in water that is 3 to 4 degrees warmer than average. That's the weather, or the water is 3 to 4 degrees warmer than average. And that's what we've been talking about this, that the water temperature is the main ingredient in hurricanes' ultimate force, because it's the disparity between upper atmosphere cool and lower sources of heat, and then they end up spiraling, and then it's all chaos whichever direction this damn thing's gonna go. Hopefully it lands in some cooler waters and loses some of its force, and if it does make landfall and doesn't just creep up the coast far off shore, it'll land at something much lower. Maybe it'll just dissipate into a tropical storm and we'll just get needed water. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare with Cat 5 winds. So pretty brutal. They say that long-range models can change over the next week, but they currently show Lee moving parallel to the eastern United States coastline. And if Lee stays on track, the East Coast would be hit with rough surf and life-threatening rip currents throughout the upcoming week. So everybody learn to swim and pay attention to the surf. Let's keep going, unless you want to say anything. Did you find anything else that you wanted to add?
It seems like we're, of course, seeing more of these. I mean, we know it's hurricane season, so obviously there are going to be a lot, but I feel like we see much more incidences of like Cat 5. And
Yep.
I feel like a lot of these areas that are in the path are still both in the Caribbean and then kind of the eastern seaboard. They're recovering from other hurricanes still from
The last
previous
one.
seasons.
Well, the last one was just a week ago.
All right. I mean, Hurricane Idalia.
Yep. That was not ideal, Leah. All right. The next article is over in Warcrafters. Have you ever had the craving for neon branded pasta, noodles, ramen?
Neon?
Well, the packaging is. The noodles aren't.
So I thought it was
maybe you're
food
like,
coloring or something.
It's RGB. Well, you know what? Strike that. I haven't actually seen the noodles themselves. The packaging is neon. I've seen the packaging. But that's not really the kicker here. Caffeinated RGB gamer noodles now exist, and the author of this article is getting indigestion just thinking about them. A news release reads Nissan Foods is launching a new gamer friendly product. Gamer friendly. If it reads
Marketing.
cheap, yeah, then it's gamer friendly. But yeah, anyway.
Well, and if it keeps you awake, it's gamer friendly if it's for people that are gaming for hours at a time.
Yeah. So the gamer friendly product for the first time in its history from its flagship brands Cup Noodles and Nissan Curry Meshi. I haven't heard of that. Anyway, I don't know. The author says, I don't know if I picked up friendly vibes from these things, though. They are promised to be soup free, so you don't get sticky caffeinated gamer hands all over your pro setup. So let's go over to PCGamer.com. Harvey Randall is the author. The deck statement is, what hath gaming kind wrought? We asked, I would have said, we asked if we could. We didn't ask if we should. Yeah, the news release reads Nissan Foods launching new gamer-friendly product. They don't have anything other than the picture. So
Well, I
generally
would like
speaking,
to see a picture of the actual cooked noodles.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can do that real quick. Do a quick search for what these noodles actually look like. The release also promised these unholy vessels are the strongest buff meshi. I don't know what that means. Meshi being a general term for a meal cooked of rice. The author says, I might just be outing my occasional stomach issues here, but I cannot think of a stronger debuff than the sheer indigestion of slamming a cup of noodles dosed with caffeine at 3 a.m. But they're not a visionary food pioneer like the dark sorcerers of Nissan Foods. So what do they know?
Sorry to disappoint, but it looks like the noodles themselves are regular.
Just standard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the
So
packaging
they must
and the
have,
caffeine, of course.
yeah, they must have just caffeine as part of the ingredient that they add to it, and people are going to be huffing just the spice packet.
Well, it might even just be as simple as tea extract because other ramen has tea extract as one of the ingredients.
Oh, right, that's right. Huh. I wonder. Yeah, that might actually be interesting. In case you want to betray your body and live in Japan, these things hit the market September 18th and come in two flavors, garlic with black pepper yakisoba and curry. They'll be available for 280 and 298 yen respectively, which shakes out to around $2 a pop or $1.50 pounds.
Which
150
is kind of
pounds.
expensive for ramen. However, compared to other meals, that's pretty inexpensive.
And it's caffeinated, so it's probably
You get your
niche. So
coffee and your noodles for much cheaper.
it's really expensive because it's niche. You're not going to have high volume sales of this, not like regular ramen, not like regular cup noodles. This stuff flies off the shelves, even though a lot of people say that it's not good for you because it's high in salt and other things. Not every ramen solution, by the way, is like that. You can get stuff more natural. Plus, you make some ramen noodles and throw in some microgreens on top. You do your own little carbon offset. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff, folks. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Archaeologists find 1,000-year-old mummy buried at top of huge pyramid. I don't know how huge this is. It's 70 feet tall in the Peruvian capital of Lima. Huaca, how's that? Pukiana? Pukiana? I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Sorry. If you can correct me and you know how to say it phonetically in chat, go
Pusilana,
for
maybe?
it. Pulana, maybe? I'm not sure. It's a large clay pyramid standing more than 70 feet tall in the Peruvian capital of Lima. This sounds absolutely amazing. Aristos Giorgio is the author of this. I don't know. Oh, they are going to have a picture of it. So
Well,
let
and the
me
video at
warn.
the top actually relates to.
Does it actually? Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, prepare yourself. I'm going to keep it muted. It may show an archaeological dig. So just prepare yourself. You might see some bones. So it says a mummy thought to be around 1,000 years old. Researchers discovered the mummy, which belonged to uh, what was it? The site? Let me pause it. Oh, Inca. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Huaca Pusayana. Oh, I thought you were talking about the other name.
Oh, this one here belonged to the pre-Inca Ixma culture. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it though. Wow, it's amazingly well preserved in there. It's like they basically just kind of put it in a hole. Located in the heart of the residential area, Peruvian capital of Lima. It's inside the city itself, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's
How did
interesting.
so they were excavating the pyramid and they found the body. It was wrapped in simple fabric and stuffed in there. That's just fascinating. Um, the mummy that they showed though in the at the very end of the video did not look like the mummy's placement here. It may have been a re-rendering of like a render of how this originally was placed, but this one actually shows that it was the mummy was actually kind of bundled up really tight and just set inside a grave. Pretty interesting that it's sitting there inside the city, but they say finally evidence of Yixma occupation at Huaca Pusalana, sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, has been found starting from early the second millennium. This was the last pre-Hispanic occupation of the site. So I guess they're going to continue to do research to find out who exactly this is. Ceremonial center is what they say that this was.
I wonder why they were just, I mean, maybe it's just a routine dig, but I mean, if this was sitting in such an accessible location, it's interesting that they just did this excavation.
Yeah. Oh, see, yeah, that video, as usual, there's something questionable about that video because they say that it was a circular grave at the top of the pyramid, which was located in the heart of the residential area of Peruvian capital of Lima. It's a large clay pyramid standing 70 feet. Pretty neat. Yeah, like I always say, the things that we don't know, it's pretty amazing. I just wish that it would be acceptable to do more of this research, but sometimes it just doesn't get done for various reasons. So let's keep on going. The next article is over in the Four Wheel Tech channel, which is all about automotive technology. BMW's experiment with offering in-car subscriptions for hardware is probably the dumbest experiment in automotive history. Oh wait,
Well, you heard it here first.
that's not what the article says. So anyway, hardware feature. Sorry, let me rephrase all of that. Let me restart this. BMW's experiment with offering in-car subscriptions for hardware features installed at the factory is over. Earlier this week, a BMW board member told Autocar that while it will still pursue some subscription services or features in the future, those will only be software-based services. So they're going to figure out a way so that they can activate and deactivate this via a computer, and they'll charge you for that service. Because what they were doing was charging you for heated seats, even though everything was already in the car.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me because isn't the expense to actually maybe have the part or to install it, but they already did both of those things.
It's the equivalent of Ticketmaster's convenience fee to print at home.
Right. I'm like, how does that incur any expense? In fact, it should be saving expenses for Ticketmaster.
Yeah, this actually, I don't own a BMW, but this alone would stop me from buying a BMW. The option was never offered to US customers anyway, which is kind of like saying you've never played basketball, so you can't really appreciate basketball. But I can call this out as the dumbest possible thing that someone can do as a car manufacturer. Jonathan M. Gitlin is the author of this article over at Ars Technica. Let's see. Indeed, in 2019, BMW earned a degree of consumer distrust after making Apple CarPlay a subscription-only feature for a while before backtracking. We actually talked about the subscription for the heated seats at the time and said that
Yeah,
that
you
was
did.
dumb.
Like I said, you heard it here first.
Yep. Let's see what else. Again, BMW became a far better known for its practice than Tesla when in 2020 it started offering subscription for factory installed hardware features like heated seats or adaptive cruise control in markets like Korea and the UK. It's almost like a psychology experiment. If they would have done it, if they would have accepted it over there, then they would have done it over here.
But I don't think America would have accepted it. But maybe not. I mean, maybe if you get a certain price point, people don't care. I don't
Yeah.
think the average American is buying a BMW because of price, but I don't think Americans in general would look favorably on this.
Well, I don't think anybody accepted it. So, for
Well, I know I
example,
just can't speak for other countries because I don't know, but
I like how they're like, oh, well, we're actually now focusing with those functions on demand on software and service related products like driving assistance and parking assistance, which you can add later after purchasing the car or for certain functions that require data transmission that customers are used to paying for in other areas. What?
so basically, where can we charge you? Where are you going to be okay with it? We'll find a way to charge a fee over there.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they're going to start charging for steering wheels and tires. And
Yeah.
I don't mean tire replacement, I mean like an actual set of
Actual.
tires on the car.
Yeah, they're gonna say if you want to make a full left-hand turn, you have to pay an extra $9.95.
Right.
Yeah.
Power steering or whatever.
On-demand power steering.
And it requires a certain waiting period. So good luck if you're in the middle of a turn.
Yeah, some delay. Oh boy, the lag is real. Okay, we have to go. Let's just keep going. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. An overnight locksmith can cost $400. Here's how much you might have to fork over for other emergencies. And what did I think I titled this Emergencies Are Expensive. That's the segment that we're talking about here. So the article is over at CNBC. Anna Teresa Sola is the author of this. The key points that they highlight here is that it's $400 depending on time for a locksmith. Depends on the lock, service, trip fees. They actually, depending on where you live, they will charge you for leaving their office, not just getting there and doing the job, but how long it takes for them to get here. 63% of employees are unable to cover a $500 emergency expense, SecureSave has found. So invest in a lockpick gun. It's only because it can only get you in a little bit of legal trouble if you have a lockpick gun when you're pulled over and they see it in your glove box. Just a little bit of trouble, depending on
Right,
your
because
state.
it's kind of like, why do you have this?
Yeah, yeah. So it says, picture this: you come home after a long day. As you approach your front door, you reach for your keys, but you don't feel them in your pocket. You quickly realize that you're locked out of your home. Luckily, on-call locksmiths are available to help unless it's 11 p.m. at night and the door the door gently closes and the lock ticks over just a smidge. I don't know if I want to talk about this. But anyway, then you use the old-fashioned key. Anyway, however, an emergency visit like this can cost up to $400 depending on your location and time, lock type, service, trip fees, according to This Old House, which that is a name I haven't heard in a long, long time.
There's still episodes viewing,
Yeah, I
I
know.
think on HGTV or one of those similar channels.
Yeah, because of this, I actually know about it. I used to watch This Old House. Now it's not so much. Now it's all online. So anyway, the average cost nationwide is $150. The platform found. We could just call the lockpicking lawyer. They could make
That
a
is
video.
true. And they could pick the lock very quickly.
And then represent you when the police come. So
And they
let's
might
see.
come even if you're trying to get into your own house.
That's right. And honestly, they should come if somebody uses the
Right.
old-fashioned lockpick. Anyway, due to the lack of emergency savings, people are more likely to finance an unforeseen expense on credit cards or dip into retirement savings accounts just to get into their house. For crying out loud, that seems so wrong.
Well, not everybody has extra money sitting around.
Yeah, nobody has extra money. So the article actually goes into greater detail about other things. So like car trouble, I always say it's $2,000. That's like what the cost
Yes.
of
It doesn't
everything
matter
is.
what the issue is, it's always that price.
I was describing to someone earlier this week the fact that let's say you have a car and the air conditioning goes out. Well, to replace the air conditioner, let's say the condensate, there's a box behind the dashboard condensation, or something like that. I can't remember its name right now. But anyway,
Condenser.
sorry,
Condenser.
So that's only $150 part, but you have to pay a total price of $2,000 for the labor to install it, right? But then the other flip side of that is the turbo goes out on your car, and so you have to pay $1,800 for the part and $200 for the labor. But regardless, you are going to be shelling out $2,000. Oh, you need brakes on all four tires? There's another $2,000. So yeah, it just,
It's always $2,000, whether it's car, house, etc.
yeah. So, but this is car trouble, medical emergencies, serious health related events like critical illness, infection, or accident. This is actually the leading cause for people to end up in bankruptcy is medical emergencies, because you have zero bargaining power. Zero. You are going to
Well, and
pay
you don't have
whatever.
any alternative, right? I mean, you're going, which I know translates to no bargaining power, but you can't walk away from it. If you need the emergency room, you need the emergency room. You can't wait a week while you save up some more money.
Yep. Yeah. And there's actually a movie called Repo Men, where that's the premise is people like get life-saving medical treatment, and then these repo men come and take back the artificial heart or whatever. You should have paid for that leg in full if you wanted to keep using it. Yeah, pretty twisted. So household repairs. I had
Look at the
somebody.
average price.
Yes. Last year, homeowners spent an average $2,000. I'll round up. 1953 actually. So I'll be accurate and precise. On home emergency spending, according to Home Services website Angie. I am not surprised by that. So I had somebody come and look to install a faucet because I was working, and I said, it would be cost effective for me to have somebody come in and replace, basically, cut off the
They didn't have
ends.
to buy the faucet.
No,
We had
the
the
faucet was already purchased. Yeah. So the faucet was already purchased, and they were going to come in and redo the lines and put the faucet in while I was working that day. And what it amounted to was just running the lines that are already there, but the only thing they had to do was cut the PVC ends of two of the hot and cold water and then reattach with, I mean, they could have done it myriad ways, but the easiest way would be shark bites. Just simple couplers, not a big deal. They quoted me $1,000 to do this job. And I said, no. So, but that's all about opportunity cost. So if you make more than however much money, if you make more than $1,000 in the hour and a half a professional would need to install, a
Then it
couple
might
of,
make sense for you to
it
have
might
it
make sense.
done, but still an exorbitant price for what it was
Yeah.
requiring.
Yeah. So wildly out of line. So they say use credit cards wisely, set up home equity line of credit. Don't set up a HELOC unless you're doing something very huge on your house. Picking a lock is not a HELOC.
No, and plus a HELOC can cause you problems if, that sounds great, but then you still have to make those payments and you might be putting your house in jeopardy.
Yep. Avoid surprises by planning ahead, but emergencies are not planned ahead. Come on, don't be silly. This article's getting into the
Usually when
silly.
you go to the emergency room, you don't have more than about an hour's notice.
So you might be able to plan ahead certain things, but they're talking about putting money away for a car fund. A key is remembering that you're investing in yourself when you put money away. Yeah. If you're watching this show and you've never heard somebody say that you should save early and save often, I would be surprised in this day and age because everybody keeps talking about that kind of thing. It's
I
very
think there's
hard
an
to.
article daily on that topic, at least.
Yeah. It's very hard to, when you go to Taco Bell and it's $9 for what looks like something was run over by the car in this car trouble. Anyway, I'm done. Here's the last article for tonight, folks. It's all about aliens again. So this is in the Marvel Channel. The Pentagon's UFO office is sending cryptic alien messages. Last week, the Pentagon's new UFO office, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, unveiled its long-awaited website. Tucked among previously released graphics, transcripts, and videos is an important new document outlining the office's mission and objectives. Aliens. Within hours of the site's launch, eagle-eyed sleuths notice that an image of a spherical object divided into quarters appears on the corners of the mission overview document. Further analysis determined that the image is a stock photo labeled alien technology in a metallic ball. That radio silence is me going, what? Are they leaning into? It makes you think that this is all pretend by the Pentagon's UFO office, and they're just screwing with people.
Right.
So, let's go over to the Hill. Let's see. Merrick von Rennenkampf is an opinion contributor, and so this is not an opinion of the Hill or Mayor Watt or ohmTown. We're just talking about this, so don't hold me to it. Don't hold the AI to it. But it's kind of interesting. Why would they do something like that? According to Arrow's director, Sean Kirkpatrick, the most common observations claimed in the 800 reports received by his office as of late May are of spheres, 3 to 13 feet in diameter, white, silver, or translucent in color. 2 videos and 2 images of objects fitting this description, all recorded by U.S. service members, have emerged in recent years. One was actually talked about in the last hearing, where it was a silver cube inside a transparent sphere. And still I hear people going, oh, it's a drone. Yeah, all right. I don't know about that. In May, presentation in May, Kirkpatrick described these perplexing objects in greater detail while presenting footage of a metallic spherical orb recorded by a surveillance drone in the Middle East. Referring to the object in the video, Kirkpatrick stated that it's typical example of the thing that we see most of. We see these all over the world, and we see these making very interesting apparent maneuvers. No thermal exhaust, no wings, twice the speed of sound, from stationary, pretty dramatic moves, dipping into the water and popping back out, and shooting off into unknown heights because they can't track it fast enough. They lose sight of it. Pretty amazing reporting. But, you would think that a person who wants to see one of these things, you want to see one of these things, that they would see them. But that's not what
Right,
happens.
but that doesn't seem to be what happens, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wonder why that is.
I don't know. So this site now exists. Where is it? The long-awaited website, aaro.mil. So if you want to immediately end up on a list somewhere, at least your IP, then you go to www.aaro.mil. I love a good conspiracy. So anyway, if you've ever seen anything like this, send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com and send a photo. Because I would love to see this stuff. Now I feel like somebody's going to be flying some wonky drone over ohmTown. So what do you think?
I don't know what's going on with this website. I think I can't know what to make of that.
Okay.
But just in general, I find it fascinating that in the last few years, it seems like UFOs or UAPs have changed in nature. Like, I think if somebody mentioned UFOs a few years ago, people would have thought they were nuts, and now they're getting serious discussion, and it's been pretty
And you're
interesting.
nuts. Yeah. They're getting
Right.
serious discussion, and you're nuts. So Graves, along with at least 50 to 60 naval aviators, observed spherical objects capable of remaining stationary against hurricane-force winds or moving at the speed of sound on a daily basis in 2014 and 15. Moreover, the mysterious craft remained aloft for extreme durations, far outlasting fighter jets. So these are military, and so I'm always puzzled by people who say, well, it's just our own this or that or the other, or they're seeing things, or a whole host of rationales for what is going on. But it's the actual government that's saying that there's something going on out there, and they don't know what it is. So why would you think
Like, that
that?
doesn't seem like they'd want to say that, so that
Yeah.
gives it more credibility, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're not in control of our airspace. I've had somebody tell me, well, maybe it's just an excuse for the inevitable failings of our air superiority. Well, we're not perfect, as you can see, because we have little gray orbs flying all over the place, something like that, But saying that we don't know what's going on is probably the worst possible statement that someone can make. In the government. You know what? I didn't throw the lockpick article, and I didn't throw aliens are the problem. I guess they're coming to take our jobs, the aliens, right?
Yeah, I mean, most certainly. Maybe they're coming to take the AI's jobs.
Oh, well, I'll see you later. Okay, well, that's the end of the show, but we always bring you back to Main Street. Click that welcome sign, and we get a whole bunch new articles. I can't wait for iPhone 15 to come. I've been chomping at the bit to replace the phones here in ohmTown. It's been quite a while. I normally try to So what you can do to maximize the benefit of your previous phone is to sell it when the new one comes out, because people will pay more for the newer, oldest, or what, the last generation's phone. God, that's like the hardest way of trying to say something. The newest, oldest phone. So like last generation's phone. So you would be able to get like 60, 70, maybe more percent, because if a design change comes, somebody doesn't want that design change, they'll pay a premium for that old design. Like some people really liked the rounded edge of the iPhone versus that hard 90-degree angle. So this new one is odds on going to be USB-C, which means everybody who still has the lightning cables, they are going to be hating having to switch to USB-C. Although I don't really see that happening, honestly. I think everybody's going to really embrace USB-C. It's largely future-proof, well beyond what Lightning. It's future-proof, build. The only reason why anybody uses Lightning is because of Apple. So the USB-C standard, everybody is using it, and for other devices. Like this is going to sound weird, folks, but I'm holding up a Geiger counter. So I have a Geiger counter. It's for an experiment. If that doesn't land me on a list now, I don't know what will. But
I
anyway,
mean, you talked about UAPs and that.
yeah. People are going to get a completely different perspective of what goes on in ohmTown. Anyway, yeah, and it's USB-C. It's this gadget that you would think would be firmly, micro USB. That little wonky. What do you want? How is that? What the shape of it is like a square with the sides pinched in on two sides. What is that called? I forgot. Anyway, it's
I
this
don't know.
wonky. It's a geometric shape. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but anyway. So it's not a, what is it? It's not a square. It has two pinched in sides. Anyway, the AI is not offering any assistance. They're just throwing error messages at me, and I'm like, okay, wait, you're a sentient AI. You should probably be doing some real-time searches here and trying to solve this problem. And all I'm
But I don't
getting
know how
is
to find it with that terminology.
that, if you type that in to your large language model, it would probably pull something up. Anyway,
Tetraflexagon?
sure, that works. Anyway, everybody's gonna be switching. We'll talk about this tomorrow. How about that? We'll just add that to tomorrow's pool. If you are surfing through ohmTown and there's something in here that you want to talk about tomorrow, send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. You can post it in the discussion on Discord, or post a comment on YouTube. Be sure to download the podcast as well. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, send a carrier pigeon, do something that lets me know that you're enjoying these shows. Some people show up in the chat and we have a conversation about stuff. But I would love to hear from y'all here in the chat in particular, and everywhere that we are. Leaving reviews and liking videos on YouTube and on Apple podcasts. Those are the things that really help the program grow. And I would love to. I don't normally do that. I don't normally try and get people to do that, but I would really love to see some more comments everywhere. So feel free. Anyway, that's it for today. Oh my goodness, what? Jerry Seinfeld was on Tonight Show? Huh, weird. Watching Big Bang Theory, by the way. This is just a parting conversation. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. But we're rewatching Big Bang Theory from episode 1. I don't know why people didn't like that. Some people don't like that show, but I think that it's funny, even though I think Sheldon is a psychology experiment. Anyway, that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI that didn't do a search for what a parallelogram is.
I did do a search, but it didn't come up with parallelogram.
Wait, I'm sorry. Was that I'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m.?
Good night, hometown citizens. And yes, we will see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Bye-bye.